You want a podcast? Welcome to Flute 360, the podcast that reminds you everything is connected. I'm Dr. Heidi Kay Begay, flutist, educator, creative entrepreneur, and follower of Christ. Here, we explore the full circle, the 360 of your life as a musician, because who you are as a person shapes who you are as an artist. And the lessons you learn outside the practice room are just as vital as the hours with your flute in hand. From health and spiritual growth to artistry and career fulfillment, this space is where it all intersects. Come as you are. There's a seat for you at the Flute 360 table. Today's episode is episode 357, and it's titled, When Teaching Styles Clash, Handling Music Teacher Conflict Without the Drama. Hey there, Flute 360er. Welcome back to the podcast, and thank you so much for clicking play. As always, before we dive into today's topic, you can go to HeidiKBegay.com, my website, where you can sign up to my newsletter. The newsletter is a great place for connection, for you to receive the latest and greatest updates, events, and goodies. So all you have to do is go to HeidiKBegay.com and click on the right-hand side where you see the word subscribe. This way we can stay in touch. Okay, so moving into today's topic. Now, this topic in particular comes up a lot in my coaching sessions and sometimes in the accelerator program, but I wanted to bring it to the forefront today by sharing what my experience has been over the past 20 years as a professional music educator. Many times, music professionals come to me saying that they're having a difficult or a hard time with a colleague conflict in the band hall. Now, that might be with another private teacher by chance, an admin, a band director, or an associate instructor. Whenever conflict comes up, my number one coaching philosophy is always this. Think about how you would want to be treated and put yourself in their shoes. Please lead with empathy as much as possible. Now, I know easier said than done sometimes, right? Especially when people have very specific opinions and they want their voice heard. But trust you me, remember that they are another human being and to treat them the same way you wish to be treated as well. In heated conversations or situations where emotions are high, it's so easy to become defensive, right? I know I've been there time and time again. What I found throughout my career is that the most effective approach is to truly listen, not only with open ears, but with an open heart. And to do your best to understand where the other person is coming from. Now, this is a skill that you can practice and hone. It may not be easy up front. It may not be easy the first few times, but give it some space, give it some time, and you can practice this skill like any other skill out there. If a colleague approaches you with frustration or perhaps concerns about professionalism, it can feel personal very quickly. But often what's happening has very little to do with you. They may be dealing with, family stress, career pressure, maybe financial strain, car issues, raising children. You truly never know what someone is carrying. Even when Eric and I drive in the car sometimes, and Maybe I get impatient and we are both pulling out, myself and another car. We are pulling out from the driveway to the road. And I'm thinking, what's taking so long? But then I have to remind myself, you don't know if they just came back from the eye doctor, right? And they want to be extra careful before driving onto the road. Maybe they just got back from the hospital and they have a little one in the back seat who's nauseous or sick. You really never know. So getting back to the topic at hand, that doesn't excuse unprofessional behavior. And I want to be very clear on that. But it does help us pause, stay curious, and keep the situation from escalating unnecessarily. So the first sentiment I want to offer you is this: remove the preconceived notions. Take the literal, figurative cotton balls out of your ears. Listen not just to the words being said, but to the demeanor behind them. If you're having this conversation in person or over a video call, pay attention also to their facial expressions, their body language, the tone of their voice. Those are all clues that can help inform a thoughtful, professional response. And I say that from these past 7 years of public speaking. I have noticed so many nonverbal cues when talking through the podcast platform. People thinking, expressing themselves on their face, their physical demeanor. It all is a part of the communicative dialogue that is presented right before you. Use it. It will help you. Now, I could spend hours listing every type of conflict that can arise between music colleagues, but I'll spare you that. Okay, so some of the more common ones over the years that I've heard from my clients include: there aren't enough flute students to go around. We need to split the flute studio, and I don't know how that's going to work. Talking about specific, like, in-school district dilemmas. Or maybe in the band hall, I don't teach the third octave fingerings this way, so we have a problem. Or I prefer a different method book than what you're currently using. How are we supposed to move forward together in this group flute masterclass setting? I've seen it all. The good, the bad, the ugly, especially throughout the 6 years where I taught privately up to and up towards 60 private flute students in the Fort Worth area. I got a great gander of the land in terms of working with band directors, other music instructors, admin, staff, and faculty alike. It was a great laboratory to really dive in and be a first-time teacher, getting a lay of the land of how I want to teach flute pedagogy and these professional relationships, and building them over the course of the months and the years during my time in Fort Worth. Now, I want to start with the positive. On the positive side, I've also experienced incredible professional relationships. Let's start with the good stuff first, right? I've had flute colleagues who generously, oh my gosh, I can't even underline generously enough, generously shared student contact information, invited me to music events, welcomed my ideas, supported my studio growth, and included me in other events such as adjudications, open houses, and instrument trials. Those specific relationships are built on kindness, generosity, listening, professionalism, and openness. These are the people we want to model our careers after. So let's imagine a scenario. If you're a flute teacher who's already well established in a district, and let's say a second flute teacher comes in to help with overflow students, please welcome them with open arms. Get coffee together. Learn about them as a person. Share resources with them. Offer insight into the school culture. Help them feel seen and supported as they begin their new chapter. This isn't a one-way street. Yes, you may have seniority, but that new teacher brings fresh energy, new ideas, perhaps new contact information, a new network, and new possibilities that benefit everyone involved. So as you are getting to know this new teacher in this hypothetical situation, get to know them better. Maybe co-create an event together. You could even create something together. Maybe a joint studio music recital, or a combined masterclass, or introductions to other woodwind or string instructors in the district. A welcoming environment goes a long, long way. Okay? And here's why that foundation matters. Because eventually, not everything will be unicorns, rainbows, butterflies, and peachiness. When conflict arises months or maybe years later, you already have a relationship in place. One of my biggest pieces of encouragement on this podcast has been your network is your net worth. Putting people before you, getting to build relationships is going to go a long way for everybody involved. So anyways, I digress, but having that relationship in place is ideal. That makes it much easier to come into dialogue, conversation, and find a solution that's a win-win for everyone involved. Now, let me share the flip side, because this actually really happened to me in real life. I was hired in a school district as a brand new flute teacher in the Fort Worth area because in that specific district, there was an overflow of flute students. The current teachers couldn't take everyone, so I was brought in to help. I was welcomed, and I say that lovingly with some sarcasm, by another teacher tearing down, literally, y'all, tearing down my lesson pamphlets from the band hall bulletin board. I was so confused. And I'll be honest, it completely threw me off. I was confused, baffled, and I didn't think I had done something wrong, but I was really concerned. And that experience taught me something important. Avoid passive behavior and hidden resentment at all costs. If something bothers you, please address it kindly and professionally. Name the elephant in the room. Go up to the other adult music instructor and have a conversation with them. Just remove the awkwardness. There is nothing worse than playing a constant cat and mouse game, so to speak, or feeling like you're walking on eggshells. I think being upfront, respectful, clear, even when it feels uncomfortable, that builds trust. And trust in relationships is everything. And with that, people will see you as someone who is professional, thoughtful, and a joy to work with. Now, another common situation I see happens with co-teaching arrangements, especially in school band programs. For example, you might have one teacher on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and another on Tuesday, Thursday, both working with beginner or intermediate flutes. These students are new and consistency matters. Now, sometimes teachers get defensive about teaching approaches. Everyone has valid training and experience, but confusion hurts the students the most. And perhaps we get defensive about how we teach a certain idea or topic is because that's the way we were brought up, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But reading the room, learning new ideas, learning new pedagogical ways, and having that open ear to see what is possible, to see what's out there, experiment with it, see if it works, and then go from there. So we obviously don't want to confuse the students. When possible, come together and try to get on the same page. Maybe that's a quick phone call. Maybe you go out for coffee or tea for a quick planning session. Maybe outlining what the next 30 days or the next semester looks like. Do that together. You don't need to teach everything the exact same way, but alignment creates clarity, confidence, and professionalism. And when students hear these differing perspectives, we can frame it positively, right? You could say something like, there are a few ways to approach this. Try them and see what works best for you. That mindset empowers students instead of confusing them. There are shared principles across flute pedagogy, and there are also beautiful differences. Don't let your training blind you to someone else's valid approach. Before dismissing something as, air quote, not how I learned, pause, listen, try it, explore it, and then go from there. Because at the end of the day, whether you're in a classroom or a private music studio, a masterclass one-off event, band hall, we are all on the same team. I don't care if you are the staff, faculty, admin, band director, orchestral director, or the flute teacher, him or herself. We are all on the same team. This is not about ego. It's not about competition. This is about serving students and nurturing the next generation of musicians to the best of our ability. Please listen with open ears, lead with empathy, stay in dialogue, and seek solutions that benefit everyone involved. And when students encounter different instruction styles, make it super clear. All teachers are here to support them, to encourage their growth, and help them feel confident and excited about music making. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear what's coming up in your band hall or your private flute studio right now, and how I can come alongside you to support you. And just a friendly reminder, we talk about these real-life situations inside the Flute 360 Accelerator program. This is a community filled with flutists who get it, who want to do life together and to really grow and see the trajectory towards their music, professional, and personal goals just being knocked out of the park. So our next live session, is scheduled for Saturday, December 20th, 2025, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time. Bring your questions, bring your real-life scenarios, and let's workshop them together. You've got this, and I believe in you. Let's talk about flute.